Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. So, welcome to another live chat with Tanisha and Tabitha. But I'm Tabitha. Go ahead, identify yourself.
Tanisha. I am Tanisha Taylor. Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good
So,
morning, good morning.
so we're going to keep it easy and light, just like we always do. That's what I love about life is that if you've seen that at the top, it says this day. So it don't matter about what's going on yesterday or tomorrow. We're right here in this day, in this moment. And sometimes we struggle with that. Y'all, we're going to keep it real. We struggle with just being in the moment. So we want everybody across the land, no matter where you're listening, that you're in this moment. Take time just to get away from all the other things and settle ourselves because life presents so many obstacles and so many challenges that prevents us from being in the moment. So we thank the Lord this morning that we can be in this day and in this moment. So the thing that I want to bring up this morning is about divine connections. Divine connections. That's all I got to say because that's a this day. Because again, we believe that we have control over time, over how things are set up. And if things don't work perfectly, if they don't happen in sync, and the Lord, He just be up in heaven, y'all. I just envision Him sometimes just looking down on us and saying, my children, they so cute. My little children, they so cute. But it's this day and these divine connections because really, when we think about time and God's time, they're just totally not in sync. And so He'll take things that we would thought would have been like long relationships, like, oh, I've been in friendship or relationship or partnership with people 20 years, 15 years, 30 years. And you would think that those are your people that may be the people that go on a journey with you. But there's seasons, as we talked about before, there's seasons and there's times. And I love the fact that how the firm foundation came out of just divine connections and divine timing.
Very
And
true.
that's how we've been flowing. We've been flowing in allowing the Lord to set the stage, to dictate how it's orchestrated. And sometimes we feel like we're not in control. I know Coach Tab feels that way. Sometimes it's like, are we really in control? No, we're not. He's in control. And that's what we love about the firm foundation and its essence of coming and bringing things back in order, setting firm foundations. And I always envision, because I'm a very visual person, so I like see imagery all the time. And so being in a place of seeing a home being constructed from the ground up a couple times, I see that visually because I was actually in that space and seeing and being a part of the process. And it was so important, not the stages of how the carpet looked or the color of the walls. That's important to us.
Mhm.
But what was important to those builders is that they had a firm, solid foundation, that the brick and the mortar and all that stuff was lined up properly. And then they even said, we want you to come and see it at this stage. So
Mhm.
I remember going twice and seeing the foundation and seeing the dirt and how they laid it. And it was like, okay, now this is what we're building upon. And so that's what the firm foundation is about, is building upon, setting that firm foundation for our life when it comes to wealth, when it comes to health and wellness. How do we establish a firm foundation, not just for ourselves, but for our family?
Mhm.
Some of us are the foundations and the bricks and the mortar for our family, and that pulls and tears. But then it shows us how to put them in firm foundation, so that
Mhm.
now there's not a codependency. I mean, yeah, a codependency.
Yep.
But now
Yep.
there is a independency where
Mhm.
they're like, I got a firm foundation too, mama, daddy, grandma, grandpa. I got my house is in order. And so that is just some of just the light touch of it. The firm foundation is to bring back foundation. And some people may say, well, what if I didn't have a firm foundation? You know what? I think I built my stuff on some sand or some mud. This is your opportunity to go back and reconstruct. It's to be
Mm.
able to go back and pull the layers back and say, where, as we say with our seminar coming up, overcome the root. Where in this root foundation did something go wrong? That something is stopping me, getting me stuck, that I can't move forward. My family can't move forward. And the topic that we're talking about now is wellness. So I'm going to let Coach Tab come in and just add, her thoughts around this firm foundation and
You
what
know,
we're.
when you were talking about the fire that God gave you, when you were talking about just the physical structure of building up this new home and what that looks like, one of the very first things, because you gave me a visual as you were doing that, right?
Mhm.
What it gave me in that visual is, yes, you're now, because she visual, you're anchoring up. This book on is white. Let me get something that got a little more color. Okay, so you're anchoring up. Well, I guess it's flow. Look, all my color flows is the same up in here. That book color didn't get no different. Okay, wait a minute. I got a book inside of the book. Okay, let me do a little better. Okay, there's the house. Okay, so you're anchoring up this foundation. If this is the house, right? So you see that plan on the side. You see the picture behind me. You see me. You see my desk. That's your community.
Mhm.
You're never alone.
Mhm.
Even though once you get your foundation together, you are never alone. I don't care how broad or the span is. If you up here in a community where it don't seem like you ain't got nothing but grass all around you,
Mhm.
eventually you gonna get into the rest of your community because God built us for community. He didn't build us to stay on an island by ourselves. He built us for community. So it is vital that you anchor up your foundation. I love how you said whether you are on sinking sands, you was built in mud, you didn't even know what it was. I love how you just really anchored. You really brought that in about if you didn't have it, if you don't know what to do with it,
Mhm.
come get it. Come get it, come figure it out. Let us draw up this route. Let us drill down to say, why do we not move? Why do we move in a particular way in our
Mhm.
family and our dynamic structures? Why do we move in a particular way in our community?
Mhm.
What have we also anchored up in our community? Behind you was the world.
Mhm.
That is to our community.
Yes.
So what are we advocating for in our life and our journey beyond our home? Because we're not in this world by ourselves. God built us for community. He wants us to serve our community. And it speaks in regards to taking care of the widows, taking care of the poor. That's what we're called as believers to do. We have a responsibility. It's not something, amen, we got a responsibility in this area of our life. We don't have the opportunity. We are not, if we, let me clarify this. It is not our responsibility to walk past it.
Mhm.
We're not responsible to saying that's not my portion. I don't have to do that. That's their mission. That's what they want to do. That's not our responsibility. We are responsible for one another. How can iron sharpen iron if we're not in community?
Mhm.
How can iron sharpen iron if we don't really receive our divine relationships? Not just the thing that we think we want to do, that divine relationship, your divine relationships that you're in community with is to sharpen and improve one another.
Mhm.
And that is to improve what now we're supposed to go in the kingdom and do. I don't know why this turned into a preach, amen, this morning. But you know what I'm saying? For one thing I can say about that, it is naturally who we are. It's natural. These are the very, very organic conversations that you and I have
Mhm.
all the time. But I know that with that, this our divine relationship is
Mhm.
to move others, to encourage others, to lift others, to support others, to find if you don't have it, we're gonna help you to get it.
Mhm.
If you don't have a community position that you support and you align yourself to for the good of the kingdom, for the good of the body of humanity,
Mhm.
then we need a new structure. Something that doesn't say, I get a glory.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? I'm doing this because I'm getting this, position, this get back, like for the purpose and the cause of the good. 100%. So with that, I'm going to give it back to you, Tanisha, so you can bring on our part of our purpose for today, because we got many. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? We got many, but we are, we do try to remain time sensitive.
Yes, absolutely. And so when we talk about the divine connections, we talked about, Tabitha and my relationship and how, a lot of times people think that we've been in a relationship for like since we were kids. And it's really been a very short period of time. And that's what I love about God. What I love about how he takes the limits off of what we deem the rule or what we deem to be right. And this is the same thing with our next guest that is coming on. We believe in helping one another. We believe in community. We believe in collaboration and teamwork. And so this is another divine connection. It was a divine connection that we have not been in community with this person very long, but it's so powerful because God is in it. And when God is in it, he can take a short thing, a small thing, and just make it so beautiful. When you just look at like his handcraft and how it's like a canvas, and he starts stroking that paint and putting the colors together. And then you look at it and you like, man, this is beautiful. I could not have imagined that this would be this particular thing. And so we want to bring in Francesca. She is a young woman that has a passion. She has a drive for community as well. And so we have partnered with her. We are supporting the charity that she has birthed, that she has felt that the Lord has said, this is my assignment. Even in my young age, I have accepted the call to do an assignment. And the Lord just said, you know what? This is the perfect partnership for this particular season. And so we are so excited this very short period of time that we've got the beauty and got the privilege and the honor to meet this young lady and to work side by side, and felt that, in our spirit was like, this is the charity. This is the thing that we want to, for this season, support because of what she's doing and what she's bringing to set communities. So let's just bring her on and hear from her.
So before we bring her on, I
Yeah.
have a free clip of her video. So I
Oh,
want
that's right. That's right.
I got it.
Yay.
So I want to go on. So y'all just bear with me, and because I didn't study IT, I studied medical. Okay, amen. I studied the medical community. I did not study IT, but I do believe I got this. So let's take a look at what some of the work of what she has been doing.
That is wonderful. I forgot about the video. We got surprises too today.
Did it start? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me see. Like I say, oh, it only set to run. Let's see. You know what? Let me try one more. Mm, let's see if I can do. I'm not gonna mess around with no screen share, y'all.
Okay, yes, let's not
I ain't
do.
gonna mess around with the screen share.
But that's why we say these are passion chats and they're real and they're live, because this is what you go through. We got to try it out. So we thank you for your patience. But here you kind of can visualize she works with children and youth.
Oh, okay. All right.
Got it there, or let's just bring her on.
I'm gonna bring her on. I will continue on my side,
Yeah,
and
and
I'm
then
gonna
we'll show the
bring.
video at the end.
Sounds great. And as well, let me hide that right quick. So I'm going to bring Francesca on. But with that, the video is also in the Firm Foundation website.
Yes.
So if you go to the firmfoundation.info, you will see the whole presentation of this video. I'm going to bring our amazing guest Francesca on, but do know that you can also go to the firmfoundation.info and take a look at it. But I am going to try to bring it back at the close. So right now, let's bring Francesca on. Let's get a little fake out. Woo! Ah, hey.
Hi.
Yeah.
Like my fake audio.
Yes.
I think we're pretty good at it.
Yes.
Woo! Come on, everybody go, yay! Welcome back.
So welcome, Francesca. You are just a whole light. You
Thank
are
you so much for having me on. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. My emotions when I just clicked the button and saw you come on, it's just like. Shh. because we know so much. So I think my joy and excitement is for you now to share with the whole world. You've been sharing in your community, right?
Mhm.
But now this is the opportunity that the world is like, what is Inspire Hope? Who are you? What you doing?
Yeah, so I could start a little bit, I guess, sharing about like how I started
Yeah.
Inspire Hope and it's kind of like the programs that we're doing right now. So I started it about like 3 years ago, right before the pandemic. But before that, kind of a long story. I'll just share a little bit about my childhood growing up.
Yeah.
I really struggled a lot with anxiety and self-esteem and just experienced a lot of difficult things as a child. And so, one of the biggest memories I could have that I can connect with Inspire Hope, starting Inspire Hope, was just nights that honestly I would like cry myself to sleep. And one night I was so upset that I just started praying, really thinking that God wasn't listening or couldn't hear me or didn't care. But I remember just being so desperate. Just
Mm.
crying out to God and asking him just to please help me with just how sad and how hurt I was, how difficult things were in my family. And I remember one night I asked him to help me, and I promised him that I would help other kids if he helped me as a child. And I think I said that not really thinking he was going to help me, not really thinking anything of it. But that memory just always stuck with me. And as I got older, God, just really changed my entire life, and delivered me from so much darkness. And I just have always wanted to keep that promise to him that I would help other kids. And so that's how Inspire Hope started, just from that promise or that prayer. And really, my goal with Inspire Hope is, like in the name, to inspire hope in the lives of children in Cleveland. And so we're doing that through our Calm Kids program, which is in the video. You'll see it in the video, but through Calm Kids, through literacy, just through interacting with the kids and just trying to give them the skills so that they can thrive in their future and have hope in their circumstances.
And there was another story, and this one kind of always touches my heart, the one about the young man. Can you share a little bit about that part too? Because I know that that's connected to your story as well.
Yeah, so before Inspire Hope actually was formed, I had started with some neighbors, an after-school program at an apartment complex that I was living at in Warrensville. So all the neighborhood kids would like run across the street and come on Thursday nights and do activities, arts and crafts. We had a community garden and homework help and just tons of different activities. But there was one little boy at the time, I believe he was around like 10 years old, and his name was Ronald. And he would come every Thursday. He never missed a Thursday. He was like the first kid there, the last kid to leave. He was always ready to help, like asking me and the other volunteers, like, what could he do to help us? Should he set up the table? Should he get out the supplies and everything? And it was almost like the little kids looked up to him, but the big kids, I feel like, looked up to him too, even though they were older than him. And I remember a lot of the volunteers would always just comment like, that kid is going to go places in life. He has such a bright future. He's just had this like light about him that everybody, when he walked in the room, it was like, Ronald's here. And you just couldn't miss him. Like he was just oh, everybody knew when he was there. It was like we could get started with the youth program. But he was unfortunately killed a year ago. Um, I think by some other teens in the community. And so that's just something that really, I mean, just broke my heart, but fueled me even more with what I'm doing. Like, we have to help these kids. We have to, work in the community. We have to inspire hope in their lives, because I think that and his mom kind of told me too, if there were more after school programs, if there were more, things that could teach kids how to calm their emotions and
Mhm.
stay together and work out conflict, then he might, he's probably still be here. And so I just think that those programs are so important. And yeah, that always has stuck with me too. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because that's definitely, a beautiful, it's a bittersweet, it's a sad story to
Mhm.
hear that, but it's definitely a motivation for us to take responsibility. And, responsibility is not measured on how large, because sometimes we're like, oh, well, I can't be this big organization or I can't be this big company, but you can do something.
Mhm.
And just how you started, seeing a need and saying, you know what, I can do something for this set neighborhood. And the thing is, and that is that if one person sees the good of something happening, then someone else sees the good, and then it kind of spreads. So we thank you for, seeing that there was a need and having a situation when we think about, I love the part when you said, you were praying and you were, crying out to God, at a young age, like, Lord, if you help me, I'll help others. And I believe that even at a young age, we are assigned to things. And
Mhm.
I thank you for being a younger person, a young adult, saying, you know what, I don't have to wait, or I'm not going to use that as an excuse to say, you know what, I don't bring any value, or I can't start something. So that was one of the things that, initially attracted me to the situation, is that this is this brave young person going out and making a difference, and that should help other young people that are out, maybe saying, you know what, I can't start something like that, to say, yes you can, yes you can at any age have a passion, be assigned to something. And so we applaud you, and we're so happy to be a part of this journey. So tell us a little bit, like, give us a day in the life of, like, what you do when you're with the children, and what type of programming. Let us experience that. Walk us through that.
Yeah, so the first thing we always start off with when I walk in the room is I have this like paper plate and it has different colors on it. And so each color kind of represents an emotion. And I will kind of go around the room and have the kids pick the color, the emotion that they're feeling for that day. Because one thing I believe is really important is just for them to be able to identify how they're feeling, like where they're at, if they feel calm, if they feel upset about something. And we just try to create like a safe space where they can share how they feel, why they feel that way, and just like really be able to voice their opinions. I think a lot of the kids maybe don't have people that they feel like they can open up to or talk to about how they feel. So I just think it's important that they know someone is listening and someone cares about what they have to say. And so after they do kind of that emotion like check-in part, the second part that we do is positive affirmations. And when we
Mhm.
started the program, I didn't initially do that, but there was just one day I happened to ask a couple of the kids, like, what are you good at? What do you like to do for fun? And there was one little boy, and he was young, like 7 or 8, and he just looked at me and he was like, I don't like anything. I don't like myself. And he was
Mhm.
like, I'm not good at anything. And so that just made me realize, as I started to ask them more, a lot of the kids just couldn't think of anything that they were good at or that they liked about themselves. They couldn't think of a word to describe themselves. So that's the second thing we do now. Every week I will go around and ask the kids, like, share a positive affirmation. And over time they've gotten better. Like some of the kids, if they can't think of something, then I'll have another kid that's like their friend or knows them kind of
Mhm.
share something that they like about them.
Mhm.
And actually that one little boy, a couple kids, after like about 6 months or the school year, the first semester, they were able to share so many things that they were good at and just like words that describe them. They were like writing paragraphs of like just a million different things. They'll be like, I'm friendly, I'm good at sports, I'm good at reading, I'm good at, being a good friend, being a good sister, being a good brother. So I think that's really important too, because if they're able to, raise their self-esteem and raise their confidence, I think that will keep them, more involved in school and more involved in just activities that will keep them safe too.
Mhm.
So those are the two first things that we do, and then we kind of get into like the main bulk or the core activity that
Mhm.
we focus on each week. So it kind of changes from week to week. It might be respect one week, it might be teamwork, it might be conflict resolution. So a lot of the kids have shared that there's a lot of fighting that happens in school or at home. And
Mhm.
so I will have them like act out the actual fight or act out what's happening at school, which at first I think the kids are a little bit like, why are we doing this? But then they start to enjoy it. So like for example, if one kid said that another kid called them ugly at school and then they got into a fight, I'll have them stand up in front of the class and act that out and, say, well, you're ugly. And the other kid will kind of respond, and they'll respond in the wrong way at first. We'll do it the wrong way, but then
Mhm.
I have them do it the right way. So they might say, no, I'm not ugly, I'm beautiful. Or they might go and ask for help from another friend or a teacher. So that's kind of that practice in that safe space, I think, gives them the skills to be able to go back to school. And when it does happen, they know like
Mhm.
how to handle it the right way. So I would say those are like the three main parts. I also try to incorporate just some arts and crafts or games, to,
Mhm.
keep it really fun and keep it interactive for them.
That's real good. That's real good. So for age wise, what's the primary age that you kind of focus towards that you?
Yeah, so right now it's mostly elementary age, so the youngest kids are like 6, the oldest are about 12, but
Mhm.
I'm hoping in the future to be able to branch out and, reach some of the older kids too.
Yeah, because that's such a developmental time of life for young people. I mean, there's so many foundational elements that obviously we know they impact us because we can all go back to that moment where someone, even in our mature state of life, where someone said that you weren't smart, someone said that you weren't pretty or you were ugly. And it, unfortunately, for many people, it has become an anchor
Mhm.
of our feelings and our emotions and our value and our worth. And even though this is, you're capturing very crucial elements
Mhm.
at a
Mhm.
root point.
Yeah.
And again, this is why the collaboration of us working with you is because you're capturing changing behavior, mindsets, and perspectives and value systems at a root point.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Can't get any more root because you're talking about a 6-year old going up to the age of 5. They're cognitive, they're thinking, they can talk, but
Mhm.
they're not in decision making form,
Mhm.
right? Because we're still giving them influences and guiding them along that way. But by the time you're in this particular window of life, this is where the roots begin to stretch out and go into community, and they're involved in other things. So now this is becomes that individual's root of life.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And if your life doesn't have an element that understands that there's other people that can wrap themselves around you, and whether you are in a healthy soil or unhealthy soil, or need some or need some fertilization to go over top of that
Yeah,
soil.
need a firm foundation.
You need some fertilization to go over top of that, some nutrients. It
Mhm.
doesn't, because we all, especially in the generation that I'm in, is that often many of us say our parents did the best for what they had, right?
Mhm.
So they
Mhm.
only had the soil they had. They
Mhm.
didn't have soil that maybe had the additional nutrients that might be necessary because those elements weren't available then.
Mhm.
However, today, these elements are able today. A program such as yourself is available today,
Mhm.
so that
Mhm.
now we can help these young people, this next generation, to move and grow and be anchored in a healthy mental and physical and structural format, to say it doesn't have to look a particular way no matter where I live.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? It doesn't, so because you have worked with, I know that you worked with children in what some say is a challenged community,
Mhm.
right? Or a
Mhm.
community that has a host of disparities. But I always see the light in everything,
Mhm.
right? And as we should, who wants to seek for darkness?
Right.
Every community in every area has its own light. And I
Mhm.
think that's another thing, is that we want everybody's light to be the same. No, it has its own light. The
Mhm.
community that you work with in East Cleveland has its own light. Warrensville has its own light. Beechwood has
Mhm.
its own light. And here and Wesley Chapel has its own life. I'm in North Carolina. Y'all know this. So every area has its own light. So we don't want to say what a city doesn't have.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't have it, then you bring it.
Mhm.
We are to be the light into the world.
Mhm.
So how can we, take a position of darkness of what this city doesn't have if
Mhm.
we're not the light carrier? We're
Mhm.
supposed to carry the light and bring the light into the community. And that's what I say, when I look at you, you bring light into the community. And it doesn't matter where you go.
Mhm.
Because hurting children are hurting children, and children who need what you God has given you to help them navigate is under every household,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right? That's why we are community. Because there's things that that if my children had this, I know. Let me just bring it to myself. I didn't go. I'm not. I'm gonna bring it all the way to me. I know not to say the esteem issues, but there was a transition point for me in my life, and I was a little bit older, but I was probably about that sweet spot of being in going from junior high school to high school, where that level of comfort that I now have today, that I can speak through today, wasn't on board.
Mhm.
And I was literally just listening to a sermon last night. This woman is, moved into, God has opened her heart and moved into all these wonderful spaces. But when she was talking to a group of young kids last night. And
Mhm.
she was saying herself, she says, when I was 14, she was just, I was just lost.
Mhm.
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 And she was like, I don't even remember She was, I was just lost. She was like, I didn't have value for myself. I didn't have the emotions that she needed to have. She has them today, but what would her life look like if she had a community or program like this that
Mhm.
would have, she had a two-parent household, a two-parent household, and they were, in what the world says affluent and established, right? So she had those components, but she herself was lost in all of these positions of where greatness is supposed to reside. But here she is, a lost soul, you know, and that sweet spot that God has called you to. So it is very, very important what you're doing and who you're doing it for and why God called you to do it. Because if He delivered you and brought you through, we
Mhm.
know the story. If He did it for you, He,
Do
he
it
can
for
do
that.
it.
Yes. Yeah.
He can do it for somebody else. So,
And I think too, like, a lot of times, we don't pay attention to these age groups,
mm,
and they're the age group that the assignment is set on. Like a lot of times when I'm dealing with young adults or even people that are seasoned in their age, most of the time when we go to where did the hurt or where did the pain come from that starts shaping where they're at now, it's always captured in that young age. Like you
Mhm.
said, whether someone was playing and said something about your identity or
mm,
who you were or who you that really start to create your foundation of your belief in your value system of who you were.
oh, you're
And
right.
so having programs like this, if there is some things that's coming up that's different, that okay, Inspire Hope brings that to say, well, maybe they did say that I was that in school or a friend, and we know that our peers and our friends and people, the children can be say the some things that can also shape your identity.
Mhm.
Right. And
They,
just think, we're in a whole different community, a time of space right now with all the social media. And I know we say this all the time, but it's true. That's because we didn't grow up with it.
Mhm.
I'm 55 years old. I didn't grow up with social media. I grew up with the television and the influx of a computer. But now, barely, 2 decades post, like, now you have this huge influx. I think when my kids were coming up, Snapchat was just getting started, and all the just the entry point. And it's just like, phew. So their exposure to what they can see is just endless. And the governance is over that. Like you say, they see domestic violence, and some of it's just straight commonplace, right? And they
Mhm.
can react to who said what when. But what they also have access to, and we're coming into a new school year, and praying for young people to learn how to navigate their emotions, because we are coming into a point of erratic is acceptable. Erratic behavior has now become the norm, right? If you hit somebody, if you say something that's harsh, we came from the spot of, the bullying, letting bullying be a position to be addressed. And I remember when my daughter was in school, she was a part of this session where they would go in and they would have this morning prayer where they would pray around the pole.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and they would go and they would pray around the pole and pray for the school and for their their classmates and things like that. That's because it was necessary. Because again, things that you offer, is like you say, Tanisha, that's a window that we need to get a hold of, because
Mhm.
those roots are getting anchored, and there's so many distractions for them, and they're so fresh in this space that the enemy is really coming in and trying to capture them in the wrong position.
Mhm.
And if the household influence looks a little different, by any means, it doesn't have to. It's not an economic position. That's another piece. It's not only an economic position. That's why I was giving that other example. These people were esteemed and doing things, but her takeaway of her life was that she had little value for herself. So it's not an economic position. It is an emotional, like you're saying, the social emotional
Mhm.
learning component that we need to have this on board. So we do have that they are equipped with the right tools that they need. So the position of the world does become their broader bandwidth. Because then what's happened, and for that particular person and many others, once those positions of the world begin to form you, That's what you're formed into.
Mhm.
And now that's what you become. Now you're 8, 17, 18. Now you're making these broad bandwidth decisions because it was never anchored in a solid foundation.
Mhm.
So, Francesca, tell us a little bit about, like when I love the part when you were saying that the children are now helping each other. Tell us like what are the interactions, like what communities are they building? Because we're talking about communities. What
Mhm.
does that look like, when they're interacting and what you've seen and some of the results of the program and what you've done in terms of how they interact with one another?
I think they've become a lot more encouraging of each other, and I've noticed too, like if a new student joins the program or walks into the room, the students have been doing the activities, like they'll let them know, like, well, this is what we're doing, or this is what this color means, or they kind of know, and so they can tell the other students like. And I've also noticed too, like if I walk in and I get there early and we haven't started the program yet, and I haven't held up the plate with all the colors, and one of them's already upset about something that maybe happened earlier that day, they'll say like, "Well, I'm in the red zone today because, this happened at school," and they verbalize it. Whereas before it was like they would just look really upset, and you
Mhm.
couldn't. There was like no. I'm like, "What's wrong?" or "What? Why do you look like that?" or "What's going on?" Like, and they wouldn't talk about it. They wouldn't really say. They would just kind of shut down. So
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think that they're starting to use those skills like even outside of the group, which is really the goal for them to be able to do it at school or in the community and that kind of thing. So
Right. That's excellent. And that's what I was, getting at or hearing is because once we start practicing these things and I know my grandson is 6 now and he uses those words, I'm upset with this because we have to allow people
Mhm.
to feel. And I love that you're allowing them to say, I'm in the red zone. Right now, that's my initial feeling, but
Yeah.
that's not
Mhm.
where I want to stay. And
Right,
this is
right.
how I go from red zone moment to whether that's a green or sunshine or whatever the color
Yeah.
may be,
Mhm.
or just the feeling, just the feeling itself, like, okay, now I know how to do that because feelings are real. And
Mhm.
there's things that does bother us, or, we may not feel good with the situation, but how do we use the tools and the things? And I know there's pieces in your program also that goes into the faith component,
Mhm.
that when we can share that, in those moments we can pray, in moments we can, use our favorite scripture that helps us, and different things that connects with our spiritual growth in terms of being able to cope with things
Mhm.
and being able to find peace. So I love the fact that they are helping each other and they're becoming teachers of one another because they're modeling what they see and what you're teaching them. And a lot of times when we don't see people and they leave our presence, and we may wonder, do they use these skills that I've taught? And I believe if you're doing them enough, that when they go home or they're in the classroom, because now they're practicing, and I love that you let them do
Mhm.
role play, you let them practice so that they know this is how it feels when it's here, and then this is how it feels over here, and then
Mhm.
also how to show the other person, okay, let me encourage you, let me say some positive things, because I know when people say positive things about me, that makes
Mhm.
me feel better, or that helps me to calm down. So definitely love all the things that you're doing with those children.
So let me see if I can get this video to play.
Yeah.
Um, let's see if we can work through some screen, share the screen. Let's see.
Okay, there we go. Let's see.
Calm Calm Kids is a safe place for children to learn and practice social skills. Children practice mindfulness, play fun teamwork games, complete self-esteem artwork projects, and learn about their emotions. They practice calming their minds and bodies so that they can be successful at home, at school, and in their community. Our teacher is going to show us how to blow out the birthday candles for a deep breathing. Great job. Does this table want to show us what they learned?
can do amazing things. I believe in myself. I am unstoppable. Now you have to be a good friend. Help them if they are hurt. Help them with stuff they don't understand. Be nice to them and their friends. Always be there for them. Do you want to be friends with me? No. Why don't you want to be friends? Because you're short and I'm tall. Just because I'm short doesn't mean I can't be a friend. We will be friends. Oh my God, thank you. You're welcome. Oh, it's okay. Oh, no. Just because I'm a small friend, just because people tall, that doesn't mean y'all have to be friends. And that does not mean y'all have to be rude. Be nice. Hello, what's your name? My name is Deshawn. How about you? Hey. Alright, okay. So I'm new here, so
I could play that video over and over and over again. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. So, from the Firm Foundation, we are so excited to have you as our in kind charity. But beyond that, what we're most excited about is the new announcement. The new announcement for this. So, for all those that are coming to the conference, the seminar, for everybody that's going to, whether you're coming in person, whether you're coming, joining us online, whichever means, we're going to have an opportunity of beautiful portion of the resources brought in from this seminar is going to build up scholarships, for all of these beautiful, beautiful children, all these beautiful little souls that God has orchestrated Francesca and Demming and the Inspire Hope community to continue to pour into these children. So not only will they'll have their necessary supplies because that's what she does, but it expands the reach of all of those that she will be able to physically touch beyond any economic position for anyone. The scholarships will be a foundation that the Firm Foundation and your participation, you gotta come to the conference, come to the seminar. You gotta come to the seminar. And if you can't come to the seminar, that's okay. Bless somebody else because we're community. Give somebody else another brick for their foundation. Give somebody else a ounce of mortar to anchor themselves and their family up, knowing that you're not only going to help that individual, but you're also helping these children that Francesca is working with. So we're so excited that it's the scholarship position that that parent can say, yes, I want my child to participate, and there's a yes on the other side. So it's a yes for a yes. That's the focus. It's a yes for a yes. So when you say yes, I'm going to come to the seminar. I can't get there. That date doesn't work for me. I'm gonna give it to someone else. I'm gonna pour into somebody else. By you pouring into somebody else, you're giving it twofold. God is a multiplier, so you're giving it in a twofold position. You're blessing somebody else, and you're now supporting these children for this next upcoming school year. So just know that we are really excited, and this is why we're excited for today's conversations and today's chat. And I was grateful that I was able to get that video finally in there because I really
Yes.
wanted you all to be able to see this while you're here, while you're live with us right now. Yes, you can always go back, but we know how that go. Life happens, you know. So it was important for me. If y'all noticed, my head was, I'm like, no, I got to get this in here because it just really brought in the connection point, so you can understand why we're excited about it, why God has brought this forward, and this is who we are to partner with in this process. Her work has been ongoing for, I know, over 3 years.
Yeah, I would say over 3 years. Yeah.
Over
Mhm.
3 years Inspire Hope has been in our city. Over 3 years she has been drudging through, and she's diligent. This is a very, very diligent, she's a very diligent CEO here. Okay, she's very diligent and she's committed. She is very committed and she's very passionate. So when you're working with people who are just as passionate about what God has placed for them to do, and now you're adding that again, he's a multiplier. These are very divine, very, very divine relationships. And I love how you brought that in, Tanisha,
Mm-hmm.
that all of this is under the structure of God, as well as everybody that's listening to this. It's
Mm-hmm.
not by chance that you saw this. It's not by chance that you clicked the button. It's not by chance that it came into your feed. That once again, this is another divine a relationship, an alignment here, that God is opening up opportunities for us to say yes. Yes, I'm going to be better. Yes, I know that this is who I'm supposed to be with. Yes, I can do this and also help and to support my community. The community is twofold. The community is our immediate community, as I gave the demonstration here where you are locally at, as well as Tanisha, I love this, as well as just as broad as the background that Tanisha has, it is the world. It's
Mm-hmm.
he created the whole thing. But if I go down to Francesca, it only takes one person.
Yes.
It
Yes.
only takes one person, one obedient person to do the work that's going to go into the community and that's going to go over there and take care of the world. He only needs one. And if that one is you,
Mm-hmm.
go to the firmfoundation.info and go under the seminar and say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Just say yes. And you know that if God has showed up thus far, because he's the omnipresent God, he is
Mm-hmm.
going to show up and he's going to release that thing that you've been talking about, that you've been in your personal heart hoping and praying and wishing for, that there's a community that you can serve into. There's something that you can partner with, that you know there's an element in your life. You know there's an element in your life that you missed, that's not there for you. And if it's there, you know that you also in your heart, you want to be better at it. And you don't have the full scope of what is that going to look like? What is it going to take? I encourage you, get your ticket, come. If it's a physical position, if you can't make it to Berea, Ohio, God is omnipresent. This is streaming just like you're looking at this stream now. It
Mm-hmm.
can stream just like this, right to your step and right to where you can be in the comforts of your home and receive and make a note. And know that it's a twofold position. It's for you, your family, and your immediate community, and it goes into the land, and it's only taking one person. So that is my speak, Tanisha. As
Yeah, my speak is that y'all we're gonna have a lot of fun. Like I said, we talking about some topics you like, oh, okay, we building foundations, seem like some work. But y'all, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some fun learning. We're gonna have some fun in the space together because I do believe that at the end of the day that there has to be joy in what we do. Even
Oh
the
yeah.
hard things, there has to be joy. And one day I was sitting and I was thinking about joy, and I just in my spirit it just dropped. Joy was the journey of yourself, not being selfish, but the journey of yourself. And it is finding those spaces where we can be joyful, even
That's
in difficult moments, even with doing labor intense as building foundation. We can smile about it. We can be happy about it. We can laugh about it because that's really what's going to get us through. When we can look at the life moments and when we know that stuff is not how it should be, when things could be better, people have screwed up some things in our life, but we do have to find that place where the Lord says, the joy of the Lord is my strength. So when
yeah.
y'all come to these seminars, best believe there's going to be a little bit of laughing. There may be a little bit of crying. But there is going to be some joy because at the end of the day, what we do for Christ will remain. What we do for Christ will multiply. And we want to do this thing with joy, y'all. We want to be encouragers and put a smile. I have seen the world and the world looks so stressed out. Kids look stressed out, but let's be contagious and let's just smile at people today. This week, I want you to make it your effort. Takeaway. As we make change in our world, as we make change in the foundation, let's add a little love, let's add a little joy, and y'all, let's have fun in this thing, even when it may be difficult. Francesca, that's to you. Let's give you come on, some last words. We're gonna bring it
Last
home.
word. Last word.
Yes, yeah. I would just like to add, yeah, I could just add that. Oh, can you still see me?
Yes,
Yeah.
you're good. We can still see you.
Okay, I was just gonna add, yeah, that I feel like God has just been teaching me recently that everyone listening to this, everyone in the world, that He has an assignment for every person's life, and just something that He wants us to do for His glory. But we definitely have to have a firm foundation to be able to complete that assignment. So I just would say that's something that I'm learning, is that the foundation has got to be firm for you to be able to go forth and do what God has called for you to do. So yeah, I'm
Amen.
super excited about the seminar. Yep.
That's perfect. So again, we thank you all for your time. We thank you for joining us today. Again, uh, subscribe to the Firm Foundation's YouTube channel. Join us on whatever the various social streams. I like to say, y'all know all of that stuff because I am about to go through it. 1,000 million people and already said all of that. You know what to do. I don't even speak that language, right? I think that's gonna be my takeaway with this whole position about YouTube. You already know what it is. Like, subscribe, hit the button, all the things that all the millions of people say. But we say it to the glory of God. We are excited. I love, Tanisha, that breakdown of joy. That breakdown of joy here, the sister over here. Like the breakdown of joy. All right. So I think that's it.
That's it.
Any updates? I think that's it.
That's it.
Scholarships, 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 scholarships. I'm excited.
Inspire hope. Firm
Inspire
foundation.
hope. Inspire
I'm
hope.
excited. Yes, thank you.
Yes, inspire hope. All right. So again, when you subscribe, you get the notification. So when we come up and we do another chat, because we will, I keep saying conference. What? Out of my mouth. I don't know why I keep saying conference. But we got more chats coming up. More chats are going to be coming up. That's why I want you to hit the subscribe button so that you'll have the notification, that you'll be on the front side of when the chat's coming up. And also there's something very, very, very special happening tomorrow. Very special. Something's very special happening tomorrow. So stay tuned. Go to the site, go to the YouTube channel, check on the time, and you'll see some new releases, some new good stuff that's coming out. So be blessed today. Have a great Saturday. And again, anchor up your foundation, have joy in your life, and do exactly what God has called you to do. And don't let anybody try to discourage you outside of that. I'm Tabitha Stevens. We got Tanisha Taylor, and we have Francesca on today. And we all say, have a great Saturday. Bye.
Bye.